So anyway, as she was getting out of the hospital, she was a changed person. But all of a sudden, she went back to her normal self of being a psycho and everything else. Well, one night a argument broke out, and my dad was arguing with her. My stepmother was literally just slapping the hell out of him. It was just like this. She was just taking her hand and just slapping him in the face. I mean, slapping him in the face until his face turned red. Like that. Just slap you in the face. And, well, all of a sudden, she called the police on my dad. And she was lying out of her mouth saying, "Oh, he pushed me and stuff." No, he didn't. You made up a lie. Because, you were manipulative and you were lying out of your own tongue, saying that he pushed you when he didn't do that. He didn't put a finger on you. Well, as charges were being charged against my dad was charged with assault, and most likely he was locked away for the whole night in prison. We went over to my stepmother's mom's house, and I told what had happened, and she got up on my face saying, "If you don't shut your mouth, you'll be the next one going to jail." I literally just stood quiet, just watching TV and getting in the bed. Well, as the next day came, I saw my dad. He was already out of jail and he was going to work. And after he got off to work, she started to lecture me. Over and over and over again, she was lecturing me, saying that I put dirty clothes into clean clothes. And I told her that I was being set up here, and she had no evidence that I was doing that. Well, as the time I went into my bedroom and I locked the door, I stayed in there all day. I even waited till my dad got home. Well, as the night went on, my dad was in his shed, and she was banging on the door, and literally this was after my birthday. She literally got mad at me because I had one of my friends over at my birthday, and she told me she didn't want no girls over, and she said, "You get on that couch. You get on that couch right now, and I'm going to call the police on you." And I was like, "What for? I didn't do anything." She's like, "Yeah, you did. I told you you shouldn't have no women over for your birthday." And instantaneously, she was lecturing me about having girls over for my birthday when she was a best friend to me. I mean, she really wanted to be at my party just to be supportive. And I literally just thought if I grabbed the phone and break it, she wouldn't do it. Well, anyway, I grabbed the phone from her, and she grabbed a knife. And right on my arm, I don't know if you guys can actually see, on this arm, she sliced me with a knife. And it was a deep wound where instantaneously I had to hold it just like that. And there was blood all over my hand. Well, as the night, she forced me out of the house, and she was threatening to call the police on me. I ran away. I went to my friend Jesse's, and I instantaneously just walked over his house. And I rang the doorbell, and believe it or not, one of his cousins answered the door. He's like, "Oh, who are you?" I told the guy, I said, "Is Jesse awake? I need to see him." "Oh no, he's not awake. He's already asleep." And so anyway, I decided to go back to the trailer house after that. I didn't go in. Didn't much care about going in and facing that psycho woman. Well, anyway, I went in and I found my dad in his shed. And I told him what happened. And I told him directly that something had to be done about this. We were taking abuse like no tomorrow. And it was just exactly how my mama did us back then. She literally, after my mom left, took what she started. Well, after she was knocking on the door saying that she was sorry for the way that she's acted, we literally went back to bed inside. And I saw my whole room. It was trashed. There was things everywhere. It took me at least 3 o'clock one morning to straighten up the whole room. Well, I woke up and I just felt afraid. I kept that door locked every night because I was afraid she would have done something to me and it would have been really bad. Well, as I began the next day, another argument broke out, causing my dad and them to escalate their fight. I went into the kitchen and she instantaneously yelled at me, started to lecture me more. And she was saying that I had talked and stuff. I don't know what the hell that even means. I mean, I'm sorry for saying that, but I don't know what the term had talk means. I mean, in my opinion, I think it's a quiet person just saying things like, I mean, you don't instantaneously know what a person's saying. She was like a mind reader. She could read what you're thinking and most likely everything else. Well, as I was getting my food and I was about to eat, and she just came up on my face. She She's like, oh, you did this. You mixed dirty clothes and clean clothes. You've head talked and stuff. And, you know, she just started blaming and framing me for things that I haven't done. And I went into my room. I shut the door and I ate my dinner. My dad literally was just talking to her, and they were both yelling and screaming at each other. And after that, I don't know if I remember this or not, I think she busted the door down next. Well, she got in and she told me that I was grounded for a whole month. And my dad agreed with her. And over the fact of the matter, my dad was on her side. I told my dad I didn't do anything. She had no proof or evidence that I've done it. And most likely it was basically what she was going through. So, I don't even remember if there was more to it, but there was a lot more in this video, or what was never released. And so anyway, she went off one day and I started complaining. I told her that I had enough. Well, one night, as we were getting on, I told my dad how I felt. I told him, I said, you gotta do something about this. This is enough abuse, and it already is. So one night, my stepmother comes in, and she literally got violent. It was like something demonic just jumped right inside of her. She instantaneously started to grit her teeth, and she was growling at me. Like she literally had something wrong with her. Well, as the night went on, she was grabbing my dad's shirt, like, with her hands. And she was just yanking the shirt, just causing it to tear. And, you know, she was just kept on slapping him, kept on cursing at him. And most likely, she was trying to get to me. My dad literally was holding her back, and he gave me his cell phone to call the police on her. Well, as that time went on, I grabbed his phone and I dialed 911, and I told the operator what was going on. And so anyway, the police showed up to the house, and my dad and I was speaking to the sheriff, and he saw the cuts and bruises on me and my dad, and a tore up shirt, and also seeing the slap marks on my dad's face. Well, anyway, I told the guy that I didn't want to press charges. All I wanted was to see her get some serious help. And my dad, he had to do what he had to do. He had to press charges no matter what the cost was. So as they handcuffed her, they read her rights, saying, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say is held against you in the court of law. You know, you have the right to look for an attorney. If you can't find one, then one will just have to be appointed to you. Well, anyway, it was like in this video that I've never even created before in a real Psycho series. This video would have been called Psycho Stepmother Gets Arrested #2. And this would have been the end of the series where she actually got arrested again. And it was during the time that her sister was getting on my dad, saying, "Oh, you did this. Oh, you did that. You need to get my sister out of jail and stuff." And my dad literally broke her out. And right after that, my dad went straight to his lawyers and filed divorce. He said it was time to, and most likely it was done. It was finished. So anyway, as my dad and I moved on, we were starting to get rid of her stuff. We were throwing away her stuff, or she was coming to get it. One or the two. And most likely, that's what she did. My dad also took the time to file a active restraining order against her, and she wasn't allowed at least 500 feet from the house and me. She couldn't get to me because that restraining order was on top of her. She couldn't get anywhere within 500 feet from where I was or where my dad was. And so anyway, she just came and got her things and she left. She had to find another place to live. And most likely my dad and I